So 1 pixel long by 1 pixel wide tracking pixel. It's basically invisible. It's placed on just about every website you've ever gone to. Chances are many of those pixels are placed on each website that you go to. And when you go to that website, the pixel is downloaded to your computer, and it calls home and reports to its home base about you and how long you spent looking at that website, and what parts of the website you clicked on, and all sorts of other stuff. So each time that you go to a website, your behavior is generally being monitored, analyzed, repackaged, and sold to people.
You're checking out the Investor Shed podcast with Nick Beveridge and Jeremy Kitchen. They're on the path to financial freedom, and they're taking their community with them. Stay tuned for the best free real estate investing advice on the internet.
Listen to what?
Oh, we're doing Ryan Jones's intro.
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, I thought we were going to do the other one we were talking about.
Yeah, we'll do that right after.
Great.
If that makes us
Great.
okay.
Is my mic plugged in? Hello? Hello? Yes, it is. Okay.
Yeah. Is mine? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
How's that angle? It looks a little funny there, but it
does
looks
look a
fine.
little
It looks
funky.
fine on the screen.
If it fucking looks fine, it looks fine.
Jeremy's sleep deprived.
Welcome back to the Investor Shed podcast. My name is Jeremy Kitchen, here with my lovely co-host, Nikolai Bevery. How are you?
Ooh, I like when you say that.
Nikolai.
Nikolai sounds way better than Nick.
Nick, my name's Nick Beveridge.
Hey. Did you say Mick? No, I said Nick.
Does that happen often to you?
Way too much.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Mick is a fake name.
Mick is not... What are you talking about? Like McDonald's?
Yeah, Mickey. Mick.
Or is it McDonald's?
I don't know. Speaking of McDonald's, we have Dr. Ryan Jones in the house, who is not a doctor, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. He will get sued, if anyone, for malpractice, for practicing in any sort of doctorage.
But he's the doctor of Google pay-per-click.
Not even just Google pay-per-click, like all like
Facebook too.
Facebook too, Meta.
Yeah.
Ryan was awesome to have on the podcast. We went into a lot of really cool conversations about just life in general and really optimizing your ad performance and how investors can do that in their business as well.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy to talk to because he really puts a lot of thought into almost everything he's doing.
Yeah.
And he makes fun of it too, almost on like an autistic level.
Yeah.
But you guys got to see the video on this. He put together the coolest chart I've ever seen when it comes to paying off his house. He's got his house laid out on a grid. You're just going to have to see it.
Yeah. It's super cool, and it's a really great way to visualize like how to pay off your house and what exactly is happening when you make a payment. So I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest like tricks in life is like to try to take a complicated subject and put a visualization to it. That way you can comprehend what's going on and how to make life decisions.
I love it.
I think this episode had a lot to do with that.
Yeah. Speaking of life decisions, Nick, important one. What kind of food or drink should people be indulging in on this episode?
I would say, you know what? Red Robin, hamburgers with
Specifically hamburgers.
hamburgers with some Blue Moon. Let's get a little wasted.
Oh yeah, let's get a little tipsy during Ryan Jones. I love it.
Yeah.
Red Robin burgers specifically and Blue Moons.
Hamburgers. No.
Hamburgers, not burgers. Okay.
Save the calories on the cheese. You don't need it always.
We'll talk.
I love the cheese though.
Yeah, the cheese is good. Speaking of cheese, let's go.
What's up, North Idaho people?
Hello.
Hey, we've got an amazing real estate seminar coming to Coeur d'Alene here later this year. We want to tell you about it so that you'll hurry up and buy tickets.
Yes, get your tickets. The amazing Kathy Fecky is flying in. AJ Osborne, the king of self-storage, is flying in.
Steve Rosenberg, y'all know him, he's muscly. Brad Chandler, changed your life. Tom Wheelwright, man of the hour. Get a free book too when you sign up. Quickly, do it before the end of the month and you'll get a free book.
All right, welcome to the Investor Shed podcast. My name is Ryan Jones. I'm try-hosting this bitch with Jeremy Kitchen and Vic Neverage.
Oh, nice. Thanks for mispronouncing our names. You fit in really well.
Dr. Ryan Jones in the house, everybody.
Yes.
Not a doctor.
Not a doctor, but we
Dr.
wrote...
Jones is my grandfather.
Okay, we wrote it on the board anyway, so we're still going to do that.
Doctor
Ryan
sounds
Jones.
better.
Yeah, super
Does sound
excited to
better.
have you here.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here as the #1 Investor Shed fan. Listened to every episode, liked every single one.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, and you're one of the few that actually comment out there on our YouTube. And if you want to be a guest on the show, maybe just comment as well multiple times. You never know what might happen. Maybe once per video. It helps our algorithms.
Sure does.
And speaking of algorithms, you know a little bit about that, don't you?
It's true.
Yeah. Go speak into the mic just a little bit more if you don't mind.
It's true.
So, Ryan, we've got you on the podcast because you are not just a real estate investor yourself, but you're also an expert in what a lot of people need help with these days, and that's online marketing. You're in the pay-per-click game.
Yep.
Can you tell us real briefly, before we get into your story, what is pay-per-click all about?
Pay-per-click marketing are those ads that you see above the Google search results when you search for something, or in your Facebook feed when you're scrolling. They're ads that you can click on, and when you click, that is when the advertiser gets billed. So pay-per-click marketing. Plenty other ways to go about it. You could pay for impressions too, just like a billboard. And impressions when someone sees your ad. It doesn't have to necessarily be the click, but there are all sorts of ways to target it at different people. There's ways to only show it at certain places and certain times, and all sorts of things you can do with it. Very, very useful tool.
All right. So when did you get into that game?
9 or 10 years ago. I never intended to get into marketing. Certainly wouldn't have done it on purpose, but I was poor, being a failed door-to-door auto glass salesman in Phoenix. Did not work out well. But
Auto glass repairs or replacements?
both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah.
I used to do
fanny
repair.
pack. I could fix the chips.
Yeah.
But I couldn't replace them myself.
I did that in high school.
No shit.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, I worked at Squeaky's. Squeaky's is a car wash, and then they had window tinting and rock chip repairs. And I think I was 16, and the owner of the tint shop also owned this side hustle with the windshield repair business. And it was all about just trying to get any and every rock chip repaired because the insurance company would pay for it, and I would do probably a pretty shitty job of fixing that chip. But we'd bring $50 in for every time we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would go set up tents like in parking lots or go on the side of the road like
good,
up in
strong hustle.
Athol. Yeah, it taught me to hustle very early.
And on the first day of that job, I was in the back of this guy's car, and he had this little book peeking out from behind the little map pocket back there. And I said, "Oh, what's this?" Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's my first exposure to it.
Wow.
And so he recommended that I read it, and I think that that lit a bit of a fire for me, as I think it does for everyone who reads it for the first time. But anyway, I was being poor at that job, and then a friend of mine said, "Hey, come work at this call center with me," and I did. And then the program we were working on got sent off to India, and they said, "Hey, do you want to do support for Google Ads stuff?" And I had never heard of it.
This is the same company that the call center?
company.
Okay, so they didn't just lay you off directly. They had an alternative plan?
Yep. They want to save those employees. Their annual turnover is over 100%, so they want to save.
Over 100.
Yes.
What company? Was the Center Partners? No, just
No,
kidding.
it was called Ravana.
Okay.
It's a portmanteau of Revenue Nirvana. It's owned by Teletech or T-Tech. They keep rebranding every few years due to bad press.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fun times. But anyway, I got to see behind the curtain there, and have all sorts of access to basically every Google Ads account in the world, and did a whole bunch of building them, optimizing them, working with ad agencies and stuff. And then went to go work for their in-house ad agency, and then a couple other places, and became self-employed as of almost 4 years ago now. So like it a lot.
Right on. Okay, so where'd you grow up?
Phoenix,
Phoenix? Okay.
specifically Ahwatukee or Chandler.
And so were you born there? Mm-hmm. Okay. And what was it like growing up in Phoenix?
Good. When you have nothing else to compare it to, it's kind of hard to say it wasn't good. I think I had a wonderful childhood and great friends and family and everything. Like, it wasn't a story of deprivation or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. So what got you to Idaho then?
Yeah, so March 2020, I was riding my bicycle down the canal path in Tempe, in one of the most populous parts of the States, over to my brother's house to go hang out. And it was like 3 or 4 p.m., and there were 0 people in sight for an entire mile, where normally you would see hundreds of people in sight, because the people of Arizona just took their lockdowns lying down. And in that exact moment, I knew I need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't Arizona typically viewed as like more of a conservative red
Absolutely it
state?
is. Yeah.
Okay. So what was the mindset down there? Was just pure panic, or
Not panic,
is it an opportunity
so
to
much
just
as,
lock ourselves in?
So much as compliance, yeah. And so I wanted to move to a place where the next time this sort of thing comes down the pipe, I want the local people getting together and building a gallows so they can kill their elected officials, basically. Try to lock them aside. And I figured North Idaho was that place.
Okay.
Well, welcome to North Idaho.
Yeah, talking to Mike just a little bit more, if you don't mind.
got it.
It will just
You're good. Yeah,
We're pulling this over here then.
yeah. You guys can pull it back and forth. What kind of got you in that mindset though? Like what made you think a little bit differently than the crowd? If you had to point it on one thing, like, was there an experience that you had as a child, teenager, young adult? Like what makes you think differently from the crowd?
As far as moving out of Arizona or real estate wise or what?
I mean, not many people move out of state on their own, go and house hack. Not many people go and just start a business on their own and can sustain it for long periods of time.
Just weird.
So
to tell you, but it's the truth.
yeah, but what got you in the like? What made you not, other than probably the book you read? Was there anything in particular that happened growing up that made you not want to go down the forced, almost educational path that schools pushed to just get a job?
Totally. Yeah. So a friend and I flipped cars for probably about 2 years or so to try and sustain ourselves, which would be either very good or very bad. And on average, it probably wasn't good for us. On average, you probably would have been better off getting minimum wage jobs at the time. But the sense of freedom and independence that you get being self-employed is, I think, extremely valuable. I think you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And I always encourage this for other people, I encourage everyone I know who has any inkling of wanting to be self-employed that they should give it a shot, and that making the leap really isn't as scary as they think it is. Everyone's always worried about, but my health insurance and my safety nets and so on. But like, Arizona's an at-will employment state. I believe Idaho is as well. You can be fired at any time for any reason or no reason, and many people are. And a lot of the times they're blindsided by that. And that's not really any different than the risks that people have when they're self-employed, I think. So
Yeah.
I love it. And I think it was that car flipping that made me think that it was possible. And yeah.
Yeah. And what you said about like health insurance, I hear that a lot too with people. Like, that's a big excuse for people that just want to stay in a job or just want to look for a job that has good benefits. I don't know if they fully realize that they're paying for that.
Oh,
They're just having their employer fit the bill instead of pay them more.
Yeah.
It's like, nothing's free in this world.
Ain't no such thing as a free lunch.
But you don't have to be an employee to have health insurance. I have experience of just being a self-employed person, and you just buy it.
Right.
You figure it into your average life cost of what things cost, and you can shop it around. And if you're not doing well, there's Medicaid.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a job to have health insurance. You can just suck the tits of the state, and it's pretty good milk.
I got individually underwritten insurance for me. I'm 34 and healthy, and I'm able to get Blue Cross of Idaho health insurance for like $155 a month or something like that. It's
Wow,
more,
that's low.
It's more catastrophic than not. Right?
Yeah.
But it is totally doable. It's out there.
Yeah. So, what made you actually want to? So you're working for a company that taught you pay-per-click marketing?
Specifically AdWords. It's been rebranded to Google Ads recently.
Okay.
Not recently. It was years ago. It's recently in my head.
What gave you the idea to start your own business, and how'd you do it?
So the ad agency business model is that a salesperson will find a advertiser and say, we will give you the sun, the moon, and the stars. And then that person signs on to work with that ad agency, and then that account is given to the people at the ad agency who throw a dart at the board to figure out who will actually service that account day to day. And generally they will look at that account once a week and make some sort of optimizations to it, decide that they want to increase or decrease the geo targets or the budgets, or bid differently, or change up the ads, or decide what keywords to bid on differently, or where the ad should show, all that good stuff. And as a result, each pay-per-click manager would accumulate a pretty big book of business, and on any given day they're looking at, you know, a fifth of their accounts for the 5-day work week. And so the accounts would go not quite unmonitored, but probably unloved most of the time. And that didn't work for me. I was always looking at all my accounts every day just because I was super obsessive about it like that. Like, I can't, it's just who I am. I couldn't turn it off, right?
Yeah,
And so,
I could tell that about you.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so I would look at all my accounts every day, and that would always surface opportunities to make them a little bit better. You know, each day, if you can just make things maybe 1% better or something like that, there's a pretty big cumulative impact over time.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally, yeah. And then I've had a couple side gigs over the years where people would ask me if I could manage their ads or help them out with one-time optimizations and stuff. And then I realized, you know what, I can do this. So,
Okay, so it started with side gigs while you were employed.
just a little bit, but that made me think about it. And then also there was some, you know, this was mid 2020 when I quit my last ad agency job, so there was some turbulence there from the COOF and all that.
Okay, so what do you mean by that?
You know, there were pay cuts to people instead of raises. There were, you know, everyone was working from home, and if you were allowed to go into the office after a couple of months, but you didn't need to wear a mask at your desk, but if you got up from your desk, you needed to wear a mask to walk to the bathroom, and I am not about that life. So I moved to Idaho.
Okay. What gave you the idea of Idaho?
It was not high on the list. At first, I was thinking something like the South. You know, I've had friends move out to the South before, and I went and visited them, and it was beautiful. But too many bugs for my liking. I thought maybe Texas would be a good idea, but didn't really appreciate the parts of Texas that I saw while driving through there. Not that that's super fair. I love California, love Washington. Northwestern Washington's absolutely spectacular. I love that Olympic Peninsula. If I could live anywhere, it'd probably be Northern California or northwest part of Washington. But those just are not free states.
Right.
So then when
I totally agree with you there. I would love to live in Northern California.
Yeah. Oh, it's glorious. Maybe the most beautiful part of the country, but insane. So I was driving from Seattle to Bozeman, Montana, because my brother was working there for the summer, and passed right through Coeur d'Alene and just loved what I saw. I love the small town. I love that, you know, you can go down to the DMV and get all your stuff taken care of in a few minutes by someone who speaks English. Yeah. Like, that is underrated.
I know what you're talking about because I actually lived in Arizona in Phoenix.
That's right.
For 6 weeks.
Yeah.
One of those days, I was at the DMV, and I'm not kidding. It was a full fucking day.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. It was. I didn't read at the time. I sat there and looked at a wall. It was before smartphones too. Yeah. I was just pissed. I was like, that was one of the reasons why I left that stupid fucking state. But it was kind of cool to have a driver's license that didn't expire till I was like 60 something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember it lasted a long time.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, whoa. Look at that. You're surprising us left and right, man.
Better luck next time, Dave.
Undisputed #1 fan. Oh, Dave. We're going to zoom in on this. I got to mark it.
Sorry, Dave. I'm not sorry. But it was that comment, Dave, when you said if a video has 1 like, it was you, and if it has 2 likes, it was you and me. There's a whole bunch of videos with just 1 like, and I know it was me. So at that moment, it made me want to make this shirt.
All right, so for the people listening here, Ryan Jones is definitely our super fan. His shirt says undisputed #1 fan. We have another guy who comments on our podcast named Dave. He says, better luck next time, Dave, with a cross going through his name.
And obviously the investor shed logo.
Oh, I love
That's
it so
very
much. That is so good.
That's why I had to keep the jacket.
Oh my god.
We should just make those shirts. You should put those, and we should sell those.
Like, there can only be 1.
There can only be. That's
we
fine.
can make a #2 fan shirt for Dave.
Yeah, but we can just like cut out like the fan part and just like the better luck next time, Dave shirts.
I'm not ripping on Dave here. He's the #2 fan.
It's true.
I love Dave.
Yeah.
But holy shit, man.
I'd be okay with
just
being tied for #1 with Dave. That'd be okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
You caught us off guard.
Yeah.
I'm chill. I got chills. I don't even know what to say. Your turn, Jeremy. Why don't you take over?
Yeah.
I didn't even see what it said because I'm looking in the screen right here and it's backwards in the screen, of course. I just saw the Investor Shed logo and I was like, what is that on his shirt? Amazing. So you guys have talked a little bit about pay-per-clicks and SEO optimization and stuff. I want to dive just a little bit more into that. Like, how do you figure that stuff out? Because I think, a lot of real estate investors, and this is particularly where it gets, useful for other people as well. Like, how do you bring that into real estate investing, and what's the best way to utilize that as far as, gaining more clientele or finding new deals?
Totally. So there are a bunch of different ways to target the ads. You can target the person kind of regardless of where they're at. Those are like the retargeting ads that follow you around the internet. You you look at a thing on Amazon and the image of that thing follows you around wherever you're going. So we consider those display ads, right? And because they're being shown to you over and over again, we call it retargeting. Just a nice way of reminding people that your business exists. You could also target the content regardless of who's looking at it. So maybe if you know that you want to be showing ads on a certain website, it's very particular, and you know that the people going to that website and reading it are probably closer to your audience than not, then you could pay to place your ads on that site too. Okay. So there's two main ways of going about display ads: targeting the person or targeting the content that person's looking at. You could also do both. Get the middle of that Venn diagram. Okay. Search ads are targeted based on keywords you select. So like if you're selling a house in Coeur d'Alene or whatever, you could be bidding on keywords for, homes for sale in Coeur d'Alene or something like that, and write an ad that is relevant and shows off your property and whatnot. And then when people click on that ad, they would go to your landing page and hopefully go to your open house and buy that property from you, or whatever it is you're looking to accomplish. Sure. The various ad networks, it's really the big two at the moment, Google and Facebook. I know it's Meta now, but it will always be Facebook in my head. They've packaged several different very useful audience products for real estate investors. So if you start looking one day on your phone, you have some Android phone or whatever, or if you're logged in on a Google account and you start searching, I know, me too, right? I'm bought in. I'm bought in. I deserve it.
A fellow Android. Thank you.
Yeah, I deserve it for being in their system.
It's funny. I have Mac, everything else, but Android phone, always.
Except for the phone we filmed this on, which is what, an iPhone? Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, that way it works.
Yeah, it does actually work.
Yeah. You got to be a power user to work through the problems that Android gives you. And so Google and Facebook have their different ways of packaging up audience targeting solutions. So if you have that Android phone, you search one day out of the blue, you start looking for homes for sale near you. Bam. Google believes that you are now part of that end market for a new home or a resale home audience. And you can target that audience in an ad campaign and show ads for your house or perhaps your brokerage or really whatever you want to those people, as long as it fits their policies. And then same thing for Facebook. You'll be scrolling through that Facebook feed or Instagram or whatever. If Facebook believes that you're part of one of those audience packages, then it will show you those ads. I'm sure we've all seen all sorts of ads on Facebook, and it makes you, why are they showing this to me? And sometimes you see an ad and it's like, this is the center of the bullseye. This is right up my interest. So that kind of comes down to how good the person who manages the ads is at targeting and how specific they want to get. But doing that takes a bunch of time, and it's really mostly worth it if you have your own small business and you're doing it yourself and you're being hyper specific about it.
Sure.
One little follow-up on this. This is something that I've seen happen, and I have no idea how it happens. Say I'm at my house, and I say to my wife, we need a baby monitor. I have not done any searching. I just say, like, hey, we should start looking for a baby monitor. Even saying it now, my phone's like, ooh.
They're all listening.
Yeah. Isn't that weird, though? So how does that work? Like, is it just listening, and, like, do you know how, is there any science behind that? Because I've seen it work where, I don't even search for anything. I just say a thing, and then I start getting ads for it. It's bizarre. Do you know how that works at all?
So there is no official way to target for those things in Google or Facebook. They will all vehemently deny that they do such things.
Course, yeah.
But the phones are constantly listening to you. A lot of the phones, right now, there are losers out there who can't even take the batteries out of their phones so they can't be tracked digitally, right? Can you believe that?
Well, don't you have to take out the chip too?
There's no power to it.
Oh, okay.
It could be powered remotely if you are
I could take out my battery.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Real easily.
I'm going to go home. I can't take out my battery. I can kill the thing, though.
That's good.
I can watch YouTube until it dies.
That'll work. That'll work. But even when they're turned off, they can be awoken. Everyone forgets what Edward Snowden said in like 2010 or 11 or something like that. It was a good long while ago. And I remember reading through that stuff and just being absolutely disturbed by the panopticon surveillance state we've created for ourselves. And I think that's the main value of Google, is its surveillance and control, and its ways to nudge people, you know, and being the good censor, as they call it. Not so much the money that they print from AdWords. But anyway, all these things are always listening to you, and Ted Kaczynski was right.
Yeah, and they sure do print money. It seems like. Are Google? Do you think Google ad spending is up or down over the last few years?
Probably it's relentlessly up, but this is so it's an auction-based system, right? So every time you search for something, in that instant that you search, a whole bunch of advertisers who are competing on that all go into an auction against each other, and based on how relevant their ads are and how high they're bidding and what their bidding strategy is and Google's whims for the day and what it thinks about you versus me. If we all search for the same thing at the same time on our own devices, we're going to get different ordered results and different ordered ads at each time. On average, those numbers will be closer to each other, but at the time of the search, they will very likely be different. And it is all an auction system. It's all run in real time like that.
If you had to guess, how many people pay for pay-per-click stuff through just like a big service or through somebody on Fiverr, and maybe they're just getting ripped off, or things just aren't set up correctly? Like, do you kind of have a rough idea, like how many people just waste their money on pay-per-click versus if they're setting it up correctly with the right person?
I wouldn't. So I used to be. Yeah, if you can believe that. I used to be even more headstrong about this. And now I think that there are many ways to skin the cat. And that if it's working, great. I've seen plenty of things that I thought could never have any chance of working that worked amazingly. And I've worked very hard on things I thought were slam dunks that were total flops. And everything in between. So if it works, it works. I think generally the business owner tends to have a pretty good idea if what they're doing is working. Another cool thing about digital marketing is the conversion tracking aspects of it. You can track just about everything online. And I mean, cookies are getting deprecated later on this year, so it's going to be moving closer to server-side conversion tracking and first-party data, uploading your own stuff rather than, placing tracking pixels, cookies on people's browsers and phones and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, that'll be an interesting shift for a lot of people.
Could you... Do you mind if we do this where we flip the screen and show the ad that you helped me set up?
Sure.
And then you can tell me if you think it's been effective or not?
Well, has it been effective?
I don't know. We got somebody to sign up the other day, and we don't know who that person is. So maybe it's working, or maybe it's too early. But do you mind if I?
Weeks? No, not at all. Go for it.
It's been a couple weeks. Yeah, awesome. and for context out there. I made my very first ad, and Ryan helped me, where it's a sponsored ad on YouTube, and we're promoting this fall event. So it's many months in the future, a real estate seminar, and
seminar or a summit.
Well, it's a real estate event. I don't know what we want to call it, but we have speakers. We talk about real estate.
So while Nick's pulling this up, I will say, my favorite kind of cookies are Chips Ahoy and the Samoa cookies from Girl Scouts. What are your favorite kind of cookies, Ryan?
It's probably going to be Snickerdoodles, or around Christmas time, those peanut butter ones with the Hershey's Kiss in the middle. Yeah, it's hard to beat those.
But real talk, we mentioned cookies and tracking and stuff. Like, for the average person, I couldn't tell you what an internet cookie is. What is that?
Yeah, so an internet cookie is the colloquial term for a 1 pixel by 1 pixel.
Hey, quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country in Keller Williams Realty, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show.
So 1 pixel long by 1 pixel wide tracking pixel. It's basically invisible. It's placed on just about every website you've ever gone to. Chances are many of those pixels are placed on each website that you go to. And when you go to that website, the pixel is downloaded to your computer, and it calls home and reports to its home base about you and how long you spent looking at that website and what parts of the website you clicked on and all sorts of other stuff. So each time that you go to a website, your behavior is generally being monitored, analyzed, repackaged, and sold to people, sold to businesses as audience or other data products. So it is fascinating. Fascinating and terrifying.
Yeah.
Part of me thinks that, actually no, all of me believes that at the dawn of the internet, if we had just been willing to pay that $10 or $20 for the websites we liked, we could have completely avoided the entire internet tracking ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because every time, like, it's like, do you want this website to allow cookies? I'm like, yeah. Just click it.
I click allow because I'm baked into the system,
Right.
and I
Just makes sense.
there's no
It's
saving
easy.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've got it pulled up. Everybody who's watching on YouTube can see this. This is my very first ad that you helped me set up, and it's again,
Looks like a heart rate.
it's a YouTube ad that pops up before a video for mostly people in this region. Can you tell me what are your thoughts on these numbers here? Like, does this look at average cost per click $1 or so? Does that seem? We put it at $5 a day, and I guess it's been going for a couple weeks now. Does this seem like it's an effective ad? Like, would you make any kinks? Would you just let it run?
Well, your kinks
Based
are
off
for
what
you to deal
what
with.
you see here?
What I would want to do is set up the conversion tracking first and foremost, because it goes to Eventbrite for people to buy their ticket, right?
It does, yes.
Yeah, so it's tedious and annoying, but you're going to have to find someone
Okay.
on Fiverr who knows how to do these things.
So that's why it's got a little red mark for conversions, because I just don't know.
Yeah,
But
so
when it comes to the when it comes to this kind of stuff, does this look
it looks fairly standard for display
it's fairly
advertising.
standard?
Yep. Yeah, YouTube advertising, video advertising, these are all under the bucket of display advertising. You can think of it as if you're actively searching for something and you see those search ads, that's search advertising. If you're going about your life and ads are thrust upon you, like a billboard or a bus
Yeah.
stop ad or a YouTube ad, that's display advertising.
Gotcha. So this event that we're putting on, we're selling the tickets for like $200 right now. We were able to generate so far 81 clicks for about $81.
Right.
But it's been seen so far. This impressions is that so it's been seen by almost 9,000 people
Yep.
or 9,000 times.
Yeah, so that's the difference between impressions and frequency, right?
Yeah.
So an impression is when an ad unit crosses someone's screen. Nice infinity mirror.
Thank you.
The ad impression, I think at least 51% of the pixels in that ad unit need to be visible on your screen for a second or two for it to count as an impression. So that is very different from someone actually watching your video. So when you look in Google Ads, it'll give you the breakdown between impressions, between views, which seems like it would be someone actually watching your video, but it actually means someone watching like at least half your video or taking some sort of action on there.
Does it say on here? Is there a difference between just an impression and actual full watched views?
Yeah, totally. So if you click campaigns there at the top left,
Okay.
go down one.
Campaigns?
Yep. And let's see.
I'm gonna share my screen that way other people can, if they want to do something similar, they can see what we're doing. Hopefully you guys don't mind. Whoosh. There we go. Okay.
There we go. So we see that view rate. It breaks it up between in-stream and feed. And
Oh, right
shorts.
over here.
Yeah,
Okay.
in-stream are the ads that are forced upon you, whether you like it or not.
Okay.
In-feed are the kinder and gentler ads that you can click on underneath the video that you actually care about if you feel like it.
Okay.
And of course, there's shorts too. So it says bid strategy misconfigured because it doesn't have conversion tracking set up with Eventbrite, so it doesn't know if it's working. It does. What you want to do in general for all of these digital ad initiatives is create something of a closed loop with your tracking, so that after someone clicks on your ad, they go to your website, then they do the action that you wanted them to do. Maybe they're calling you, maybe they're submitting a form or getting a quote of some kind. You want to track that in the ad system so the ad system knows what success is like. And then it can better self-optimize for people who are more likely to actually carry out those actions rather than just kind of flying blind as it is right now without the conversion tracking. So what we had set up is two different audiences, the affinity audience for avid investors as defined by Google Ads, and then the in-market audience for commercial properties for sale. The difference between those two audiences, affinity audiences, are like traits of a person that are long-standing, right? Like dog lovers. We all love dogs, right? we're always going to be dog lovers.
Sure.
Whereas in market for commercial properties for sale, you might only be in market for a commercial property, for a couple of months or maybe a couple of years, sort of a thing, and then you're probably had your fill for a while.
Right.
So people come into and out of those in market audiences all the time. They're constantly churning, whereas those affinity audiences are more long-standing. So we looked through all those audience options and we picked those two as the group of people who would probably be most likely to be interested in your 2-day summit.
Yeah. So I'm actually very happy with what I saw there, because for only $81 I was able to target and have over 1,200 people watch the full ad.
Well, I don't think that was 1,200 views.
1,200 views. Okay, it could be the same people, right?
Right.
A lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Still, you're getting the message. I feel like that ad is doing a good job of the initial exposure.
Yeah.
Even if we're not even having signups right away, but that's just my opinion.
Yep.
Because it would cost me a lot more in effort to have that many impressions elsewhere.
The cool thing,
I'd have to talk to a lot of people to
Right.
kind of get the word out. Hey, there's this event coming up. But for only $81, we were able to, and it took like 3 hours to maybe put that video together. Didn't take long.
Right.
Maybe less than that. But very, very effective tool for just like getting the word out there to a hyper local group of people, I think.
Right. One of the things to be wary of with especially display video advertising is, on the bottoms of websites, so you look for a recipe for a standing rib roast or something. There's that little video playing silently in the bottom corner of your video.
Yeah.
That very
okay.
well could be your video. That's a view.
Really? So what does that mean? I guess I'm
That
missing
means that you aren't paying any attention at all to that video when you're looking at your recipe, right?
So there's a video playing on like not on YouTube. It's like a different website.
Yeah, those are video partners. Now, I think-
We look on
What?
recipes a lot, Nick. You should get on the recipe train because every recipe I look at has a video going at the bottom.
Really? Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
First, you got to scroll past the person's life story to get to the recipe.
Oh, it's so annoying.
I know.
Didn't we
Jump the
turn?
recipe,
No,
jump
can you
the
turn that?
recipe.
Can you turn that feature off?
Turning off their life story?
No. So if you are making this ad,
Sorry.
can you turn
yeah,
off?
Yeah, you can specify where you want your videos to show
Didn't we turn that off
with the catch.
when we worked?
And I think we did actually. Yeah.
Okay.
The
So
catch
that's not
is-
happening. So people looking at recipes, that's not my video. That they're not looking at.
Probably not.
Okay.
The catch is if you want to use Google's best tools, like the maximize conversions video viewing bid strategy, the one it thinks is most likely to work, then you have to give up your control. Everything in Google Ads is always about getting your data and giving up your control to them so they can just spend your money.
Yeah.
Every feature in Google Ads is designed to make them as much money as possible and give you just enough value that you stick around. So the trick is
Just enough to stick around.
Yes. And so the
Wow.
trick is to learn which things to say no to.
Okay. Yeah,
Which we
which you did a great job of walking us through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been 9 years.
Yeah,
in
because
coming.
there was a lot. Because we probably, if I didn't know any better, there's 10 options there, and it will walk you through, do everything, and then you probably told me to scrap 7 of it and just focus on these 3.
And everything in Google and Facebook, they'll say like, warning, warning, your business is about to tank if you don't leave this option, if you don't leave this box checked. You got to uncheck that box and say like, no, I know what I want.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay, so other than just your T-shirt, you brought another surprise for us.
It's
Do you
true.
mind?
Yeah.
You guys are.
Sure,
Hey,
you wanna hang that up for
you're
us?
gonna want to watch on YouTube here because Ryan made one of the most interesting charts I've ever freaking seen when it comes to paying off a mortgage.
So
You guys got to see
I
this.
think I'm
It's
just gonna
amazing.
hold it because we're a little out of frame here. I'll let you
that
talk.
works.
I'll let you take.
we
the
can hold it
floor.
together. How
We
about
can hold it
that?
together. I love that.
Okay.
All
So
right, check this out, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so I bought my first house back in April, and I came to Coeur d'Alene for a real estate investor summit. And this guy got up on stage and said that he was going to be like the 12th best speaker or something. And I made a note of that. I wrote it down, like, Nick, 12th best speaker.
Yeah.
And then we were on the cruise there at the end, and I was being pelted with business cards from realtors left and right.
Yep.
And I turned down Nick's business card. I didn't want to have one more. I didn't want to give him false hope.
Oh,
this
yeah.
motherfucker looked right at me, stepped one step closer, and said, well, give me a call if you want someone who will actually fucking get it done. And so I
I did
marinated
say
on
that,
for a
didn't I?
while. That was the exact word for word thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought about that for a while. I thought that is exactly the sort of real estate agents that I am looking for. So anyway, found this wonderful house in Post Falls, and when we got the appraisal done, the appraiser drew up the outlines of this chart. This is the floor plan of the house, upstairs, downstairs, with the garage. So, being an MS Paint expert, I took screenshots of these together, pulled it together, And then while flying back from Coeur d'Alene after checking out this very house, I spent 2.5 hours on the flight autistically arranging these lines to create the square footage grid. So this is not perfectly to scale, but it's basically close enough. 1 square is 1 square foot of the house. So upstairs, we have 1,095 square feet. We got 550 square feet in the garage and 1,060 square feet downstairs. So overall, 2,705 square feet. Yeah, I know I did my math backwards here. But the purchase price of $445,000 divided by 2,705 square feet means each of these boxes is $165. So when I go to pay my mortgage each month, you know, the tiny percentage that actually goes to the principal, I will take colored pencil and shade in a few boxes. So the down payment paid for the upstairs bathroom, the master bathroom, and most of the downstairs bathroom. And then the next 3 mortgage payments paid off the rest of that bathroom there. And now we're working on paying off this family room down here. And who knows where we'll go after that. Maybe the laundry room. I was going from smallest to biggest.
Okay.
That waterfall style, so I would feel like I was making more progress. But anyway, I think this is a great idea. Not just because it's my idea, but I think that more people should have a visual reminder of how much usury impacts their life, honestly.
Yeah.
I hate usury so much, it's unreal. And so I have this right next to my bed. Each morning I wake up and I look at this chart, just seething because I have bought a house where some tiny percentage of the payment actually goes to principal. So anyway, I've been digging myself out of the hole of buying my first house here for a bit, but I'm hoping that the amounts I'm paying off each month will become much, much larger than just 3 or 4 squares at a time. But anyway, you can make this too. If you get a layout of your house, you can overlay grid lines, and I think it's a cool visual reminder.
It is the coolest thing I've ever seen when it comes to paying off a mortgage.
Yeah.
Something you didn't mention there, though, is that I know you're seething about the interest and stuff, but you have somebody else paying that, don't you?
It's true. I have 2 fantastic roommates, and both of them, the amount of rent that they are paying me equals almost exactly the amount of interest in the monthly note, which is pretty awesome.
So then when it comes to depreciation and inflation and all that stuff, you're actually making money on this house.
That would be true if I ever wanted to sell it.
Yeah, true. Yes. But much better than renting, right?
Totally. I remember asking if you thought that now was a good time to buy a house, and I think like every realtor, you'd say, I think it's a bad time to rent.
Yes. Well, that's still what I believe.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, especially when you're doing things like that. Now, if you just went in there, you live there by yourself, you're just making the minimum payment, who knows? I mean, it might take a while to catch up to a renter.
Totally.
But with what you do and being self-employed and getting the extra tax benefits, I just think you made the right choice.
Totally, me too. And I appreciate the help that both of you guys got me in this process. Jeremy took some fantastic photos of this house. At first, I remember Nick told me, go get some roommates. And I thought, oh no, I'm smarter than Nick. I'm going to get some medium-term rentals going on and put this house up on Furnish Finder. And then I've got like 20-year-old Bulgarians messaging me like, me and my 6 rubes are going to be in town for a month. Can we stay at your house? It's like,
I need a place to stay right now. Can I come live? Yeah, that was
now.
my experience on Furnish Finder too. Like we talked about that a little bit, Ryan. But like, I was like, the market out here, like it's not booming like it was during the COVID times, right? Because that's when a lot of the medium-term rentals were like really effective up here. But I was like, what about long-term rentals? Like that's a feasible or a viable strategy for you.
Totally.
But I do want to just kind of unpack your chart just a little bit because you said that's something that like anybody can do, and you're right. I think the visualization aspect of what you did there is so great because you get to see like what is paid off in your house. Mm-hmm. You could make a business out of that.
I thought about it.
Okay.
But also I don't want to.
Fair enough. I might take you up on that.
Yeah. And you're welcome to it. It's all yours. Jeremy, would you mind grabbing these for us? This is prop number 2
We got more
for
props.
this show.
We don't know what these props are. This is great. Okay.
No, this is very much along the same lines.
Okay.
So, this
I bought
is...
After I saw this, I went and bought some.
Oh, you
I've got
did?
them. I've got them hanging in my office.
Nice.
All right. Help me out here.
Well, there was one for each of you, but in that case, these are going to be... do you have one, Jeremy?
I don't.
Well, you do now.
I would love one,
So
yeah.
it's a life calendar. On the x-axis, we have 52 weeks of the year. If you're just listening... By the way, I never watch these. I always listen to them.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
basically never ever see the screen
So
part.
you're the
Okay.
number one Investor Shed podcast listener.
Perhaps Dave is the number
Yeah.
one watcher. I would be willing to
Gotcha.
share that with you, Dave. Yeah,
But you do comment on the videos.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, only after listening to them, though.
All right.
But you have a YouTube Premium subscription, so you could just listen to it in the background and have it running on YouTube. Is that what you do?
That's what I do while going to
Okay.
Spokane for judo practice. Nice.
Right
Listen
on.
to this, yeah. So anyway, on the x-axis, we have 52 boxes, one for each week of the year. On the y-axis, we have 89 rows of boxes. Basically, if you live to be 90 years old, these are the amount of weeks you have in your life. There
Wow.
really aren't
Yeah.
as many as you would think.
No.
So, Jeremy, one of these is for you. Nick, you already got one, which means these other two, we're going to have a giveaway for the next of the next 5 people who leave 5-star reviews on Apple Podcast, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
Then we're going to ship one of these to
I like it.
2 of the next 5
Love
five-star
it.
reviews.
We're going to. I'm not doing shit.
Yes, we are going to.
Don't put me in
We
this.
are going to.
I love it. This is so cool. It's I'm going to take the mic here a little bit, but
This
Yeah.
is like scary to look at, ladies and
It is
gentlemen.
scary to look at.
So like this is a realization for me right now. Like I'm 36,
I'm
pretty much halfway done with my chart,
Yeah.
it's
and
scary.
this is the working years.
It's terrifying,
Yeah.
and that's why I have it hanging up in my bedroom as a constant reminder. So I have both of my charts. I think this probably helped. Oops, can you help me out?
Yep.
We're done with this.
Yeah.
It's all gone pear-shaped.
You know, the great thing about these charts is like it reinforces, like you said, like it just reinforces that like your time is limited. And every time I check off a box, every week I come into the office on Monday, it's very real because I remember I just got this chart. But it's already been a few months and a big section of it is already gone.
Right.
And I'm just like, holy crap, this is going by quick. I
an
just got this
eye-opener.
chart. Like maybe it's already been 6 or so months, but it definitely makes me feel like, man, am I really utilizing my time well today?
Totally. My mom always says the days are long, but the years are short.
Yes, they. Wow, that's. I wish your mom was there. I want to hear that again. I'm just kidding. Okay, my mom doesn't say that kind of stuff. She just calls a lot.
Call your mom. Pro tip to the Investor Shed listeners: call your mom.
yes.
Call your mom. Yep. She has even less time. Okay.
Well, on that bombshell.
Yeah.
What's next?
Just got that. Well, I want to talk a little bit more about your house hacking.
Yeah.
What was it like making a decision to buy a house in probably one of the most skittish times in recent history, where just about everybody pumped on the brakes completely, whether they are buying or not? Almost everybody just threw up their hands and said, "Nope, not now." Now we know what happened. You got a good deal. You got, like, the market went down and then back up a little bit. But what was going through your mind? Did you have any hesitation?
Oh, sure. I had all sorts of doubts about it, but overall, when I wrote it all out on a piece of paper, I like writing stuff down, right? So, like, I'll write the pros and cons list by hand, right? Typing it up just doesn't feel the same to me. In Phoenix, at some point, they're going to run out of water here, and I think they are already overextended on the waterfront, and that was scary to me, and it still is, right?
Okay.
There's a surplus of water here. That is not the case in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so there's a surplus, or there's not enough water. They keep on building houses. Nowadays, they're building houses further and further out without even having secured water rights yet. So it's
Really?
Yeah, it's that speculative. And someday, the music will stop, and there will only be so many chairs. And same thing with the power. The power could stop flowing through the wires anytime. If any, a handful of marksmen could take out power in the entire region. Our stuff is so fragile. And Phoenix, if the power goes out here, we can be putting on the blankets and the coats and whatnot and warming ourselves around the fire. But if the power goes out and it's like 118 degrees out,
Yeah, you get
can't
cooked.
really be inside. And being outside isn't super nice either. Like, I'm good with the heat. I do well with the heat. But I was, I think, afraid is the best word to describe what, just with how overextended the city of the metro area of Phoenix is. There's 6 million people there now. It was not this big, not so long ago. And it's just overextended utilities-wise. And so, yeah, I was worried about making the jump to come up to North Idaho, especially during this, unsure time in the market. But contrasted with how unsure I was about the population situation in Phoenix, it seems like a safer bet. And then riding my bicycle down one of the most populated places in the whole state and not seeing a single soul for an entire mile, that's unheard of. That, of course, that was during the coup, but that made me realize that staying here is just simply not an option. I have to go.
Yeah. I wish so badly you would have seen March 2020 here in North Idaho. It was hilarious. I remember the day after they put they told everyone to shut down their businesses and just like stay at home. It was a stay at home order. I think like maybe 20% of the businesses actually closed their doors here for just a couple days. Yeah. And then everyone just got over it really quickly.
Good.
For the most part. I mean, there's still a lot of caution.
Yeah.
But an unusually small amount in comparison to the rest of the country.
Right.
And who knows if it's common sense or arrogance or whatever it is. We may not even have been right, but it was more of a, you're not going to tell us what to do mentality. Totally. And I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Some people got sick and died.
People always get sick and die.
That's
People
true
fall
too.
off chairs and die.
But you have a choice here, it seems like, and that's what I really enjoy about this area.
Yep.
There's no kicking down the doors and shooting you up if you're not doing what you're told.
In Phoenix today, there are still people driving around with masks on, alone in their cars. Just these cucks driving around like that. There's tens of thousands of Californians moving into Phoenix every month.
Yeah.
They drive 5 hours down I-10. They get to the western far-flung reaches of Metro Phoenix, like Goodyear, and they see a neighborhood, and they're like, yep, this is it. We made it. And they set up shop, and they try to turn it into San Francisco as fast as they can. It's very sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Before we go, though, since we're already hitting an hour, can you tell us a little bit about some examples of maybe clients that you've had and that you've helped with their business, and what can people expect? Like, if they, I don't even know if you're taking new clients at this time. Are you taking new clients sometimes?
Yeah, if it's a good fit.
What do you recommend for people, like budget wise? Like, how much of their gross income should they kind of be putting towards marketing? What can they, in general, expect in returns of impressions or clicks? I know that's a loaded question, and it gets hyper specific per business. But maybe you can give an example.
Yeah. So how I normally answer that instead is, okay, let's look at your website, because all the digital marketing can do is send people to your website. Right?
Oh, okay.
It picks them up from where they're at and it sets them on your website. It does not cause them to give you money. It doesn't force them to call you. It doesn't mind control them to do what you want them to do. It just brings them to your website.
This is just a process in the sales game. It's not sales yet.
Yep.
This is just attracting leads.
So what I tell people is, for the last 1,000 people who came to your website, how many of those converted? Which is to say, did the action that you wanted them to do. Maybe they called you, maybe they submitted their information in a form fill to get a quote or an estimate or a request to call back, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And I'll ask the person this, and normally they'll say, I have no idea. And I'll say, well, then you're probably not ready for digital marketing. We need to make sure these things are tracked first. We need to establish a baseline of, okay, like when you pull up your analytics, you should be able to see for the last, 1,000 people, how many of them actually reached out to you or did whatever you wanted them to do. And so then once people do have that conversion rate, if you will, we'll say, okay, well, typically ad traffic is even less qualified than the traffic that you're getting organically, right? Because you're paying for it rather than people who are organically attracted to your website. And so we'll say, so keep in mind this conversion rate will very likely be lower than what you're used to from purely organic traffic. Maybe not.
How can people even know what their conversion rate is? Like, if they all they see are the results, but they don't, like, is there a way to see like who actually visited their website?
Yeah. So there are several different free analytics providers, and they're free because they track you and store your information elsewhere. If it's free, you are the product, as always.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yep. And so Google Analytics is the most common of those by far. It's on just about every website you can look at. You can put it on your website in a couple of minutes, or someone from Fiverr can, and then it can track of the individual people who come to your website. It'll place that cookie on there, and now, granted, they might have one of the newer iOS versions where the cookies are just rejected. in a couple months here, Chrome is going to be rejecting all cookies as well. So Google will continue to track and monitor and spy on you. It's just going to do it a little bit differently with a model of your behavior.
Okay.
That's basically the same thing.
What does this mean? Can you go in depth with just a little bit more? Like,
So-
what is that going to change?
It's going to mean so for the business owner, what it means is you're going to need to pay someone probably a few $100 to set up the conversion tracking for your website differently than how it has been so far. The details of it aren't quite as important. To really simplify it, instead of Google actually knowing exactly which person is doing what, instead it's going to anonymously aggregate all that statistics and then saying, well, normally when 1,000 people come to the website, 50 of them take this action and 50 people did take that action, so we assume it was them. They're kind of using their algorithms to model who it was that was actually converting on it. This is not the best description of it.
Okay.
But that's basically what's going to be changing there.
Okay.
So anyway, the solution for people is to put some sort of tracking or analytics software on their website, like Google Analytics or something else. And there's plenty of paid options there too, of course. And then they could link that with Google Ads in your case and link your YouTube channel with it so that when someone clicks on your video ad, they go over to Eventbrite. They, in this case, you'd have to put the tracking on Eventbrite, but that's possible. It's just tedious. And then when someone actually watches your video, goes to Eventbrite, buys a ticket, then Eventbrite, through that pixel, it lets Google Ads know, hey, someone just bought.
Yeah.
And Google Ads says, hey, that transaction came through at 4:30 p.m. yesterday. At 4:28 p.m. yesterday, this guy watched this video and then clicked on the ad.
Yeah.
It was him.
And I think the way we had it set up was it didn't go directly to Eventbrite. It went to a page on our website that had Eventbrite there.
Great.
So at least we can probably see how many people visited the website, and then figure out our conversions later.
Yep. But anyway, when people ask me, I try to work backwards from that. What is the current conversion rate situation organically? And we work backwards. Okay, well then how many users, how many clicks do we need to get to your website to fulfill the goals? I say, I want 50 sales a month or whatever it is. Okay, if you take 50 sales and only, X percentage of those people actually convert, we need to work backwards to that many clicks. And the clicks generally cost, Y dollars for this industry. And then they say, oh, geez, that's a bunch of money. I don't think this is a good idea. And I'll say, you're right. This very well might not be a good idea for you. It can work amazingly, and it can be a total waste of money and everything in between.
So depending on the industry, the price of a click can vary quite a bit.
Totally. Yeah. Generally, display clicks are all going to be about, $1.50 to $2 sort of a thing, because there's just infinite ad inventory. When you open up that phone, and you go to a website and ads appear on the screen, that's display inventory that is created in real time, and someone's real-time auction is filling that ad in. Yeah, so as you scroll down, before you get the ad unit, it has not been decided whose ad is going to show. As the ad unit sends that call to the server, the auction is run in real time, and it decides what ad you are about to see right at that second.
That's wild.
It is, yeah. But anyway, for search, that's where things get really expensive for Google. It's industry dependent, of course. But and there has been lots of inflation. Even Google has admitted that they've been inflating the costs of the CPCs, the cost per click, over the years here to get more money. The most expensive I've seen is probably $500 for a click from personal injury attorneys, stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
because they can get, or class action suits. They have these huge potential upsides, and so they're willing to bid these just gigantic amounts of money for a single click. And they very well might click on the ad and then close the website, and that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, can people? Is it always about just promoting their website, or their Google page, or is that mostly what you do? Or could you even could we do a pay per click to get this podcast out more? It's
Sure
is that even a thing?
Not only can we will.
Okay. We'll have to talk about that later then. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Absolutely.
Is there?
Thanks
Do you
for
have any?
having me on.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. You got some questions.
We got
We
some
got our final
questions for you.
questions.
You're not off the hook yet, Ryan.
I think so.
We need to get a third mic. So
We're working on it. We promise. That's air quotes for everybody listening, like Ryan Jones here. So yeah, I want to just talk real briefly about what we talked about. Just kind of recap what we did. So obviously your pay-per-clicks ad stuff. If anybody's looking to get any ad stuff, please get in touch with Ryan. If you're not taking new customers, tell them to fuck off.
he will too.
Yeah. I want to say that you brought a lot of value to the show today, Ryan. Like the things you've brought and like the just the way you've presented things. You know, specifically your cool chart that says like I'm paying off this much of my house. I don't know why you started with your bathrooms.
They're the smallest rooms. I went from smallest to biggest.
Okay, yeah,
I like
it. That makes sense. Okay, I would have paid off like I get it. That makes sense. But I'm like, who wants a bathroom? Like,
I felt like I was making more progress.
paid off a toilet here.
Emotional thing.
Sure, and that makes sense. Yeah, debt waterfall. You're paying off everything. Like
If it were me, I would have done the entire parcel. That way I can pay off some of my yard and like the driveway.
Oh, yeah.
Just feel much more
I thought about it, but the
progress.
amount of lines I had to draw, it was
Yeah.
just a clusterfuck as it was. It would
Yeah.
have been terrible.
Because you're getting a free deck and everything with yours.
And so I was going to put the deck on there because the deck
Yeah.
is fantastic, but I
Yeah.
didn't have the measurements for it when
Oh,
I was
okay.
doing this. And I was going to take the measurements when I was there in person, and I forgot.
Yeah, that's all right.
yeah, next
Yeah.
one for sure.
We'll just get you another house and we'll figure this out.
Yes, in due time. Sure will.
Yeah.
All right.
So before
Sorry.
we get to the final questions, I did just want to say, like, obviously, so you bought your house ag this year. What's your kind of plans going forward, and what are you planning to do for your next investment?
Well, I need to financially recover from buying my first house, build up those cash reserves where it's nice and comfortable or super comfortable again. And then I think my next move would be trying to find another house in my neighborhood. Cool. Closer than not, like walking distance or ideally a few houses down sort of thing. I have fantastic neighbors. Love my neighbors.
Yeah.
Really, really lucked out. But if they ever move, I want to buy their house too.
Okay.
Think about the Dave Ramsey buy your neighbor's house sort of thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
we've
can
got a-
set up an automatic search where if either one of their homes come on the market, we can get notified just like that.
better
But
yet-
I bet you
better
would
yet,
find
I'm
out in
gonna-
advance.
Yes, I think we should all
Yeah.
be knowing our neighbors
Yeah.
incredibly well. I think that's very important and something we've gotten too far away from.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Know your neighbors and call your moms on the Investor Shed podcast. Right. Ryan, you're smart as a whip, man. I'd really love to have you back on and talk more about this because you're just super cool to talk to about business and life, and you vibe really well with us. So thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
We're gonna do some predetermined questions like we always do. I'm gonna pass the mic back and forth. I might know the answer on this first one, but if you had one real estate investing book or business book you recommend every single investor read, what would that be?
A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind by Stephen Mitford Goodson.
Well, I was wrong.
I love Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
It's a great book.
Can we get that? Can we get that book name again?
Yeah, A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind by Stephen Mitford Goodson. You used to be able to buy it on Amazon, but it has been canceled for wrongthink.
Okay.
But hey, how can people
Canceled
listen
book.
to this? Because I heard through the grapevine that somebody did an audio narration of it.
Yeah, someone did. So if you search for A History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind on your favorite online video provider, you very well might find a narration that someone made.
Like Pornhub?
So,
X videos.
one of my friends, one of the guys that I work with, suggested this, and I was completely against it. I think that porn is an evil weapon designed to lower the birth rate, and it's just a terrible thing. But I think that usury is basically just as bad. And my seething hatred of usury made me create a Pornhub account to try and shill this audiobook here. So I made it, and they said, like, describe what your program is, and I said, like, one family fucks the entire world. That's my description.
Whoa. That's good.
Yeah.
And they didn't email me back.
Oh, bummer, dude.
Yeah, I tried.
So yeah, search on a different spot other than your favorite porn websites for sure to find, what's it called?
History of Central Banking and the Enslavement of Mankind.
It's a mouthful, but it sounds like it's a lot of value out of that for sure. Okay, so now that we got that book out of the way, next question is, if you had $30 million gifted to one of your bank accounts, what would you spend it on?
I would spend about $10 million buying up as many houses in and around my neighborhood in Post Falls as I could, paying them off entirely. And then the remaining, $15-20 million goes into the Ryan Jones Center for Propaganda and Research.
Okay.
Any silver?
Nah.
Okay.
Might buy a round or two. Next question for you. Do you have any advice for anyone looking to get started on their first or second real estate investing deal? And if you do, what would that be?
We hear it here all the time, but actually doing something and taking action. I know for me, I listened to every one of these episodes while pulling weeds at my last rental house.
Nice.
I had quite a few weeds I let go. We got blasted with weeds too shortly before I left, so there was a lot of weed picking to do. There were a lot of episodes to work through, and I was happy for that. And nice. I saw that as a recurring theme. You can listen to stuff all you want. You can read endless books and go to all these seminars, but if you actually just sit at home on the couch never doing anything, then nothing is going to change. So actually taking some sort of action, finding your local real estate investment association is a good idea. There's one in Arizona, there's another one in Phoenix, of course in Coeur d'Alene we have a pretty cool one. There's a whole bunch of them you can go to around here in Spokane for that matter. I go to these for inspiration and accountability more so than because I have any, impending property investment or anything like that. I want to go and hear what these people are doing and get stoked so that I work more and work harder and save more.
Yeah. And just for clarification, folks, we actually are not associated with the Real Estate Investor Association. We just have our own meetup. I don't really want to pay a membership and make everybody else pay memberships just to sell products. And that's mostly what that group is. But it's still a great place to network and meet.
Right.
So anyway, just for clarification, we're not associated with that association, but do the same stuff for free.
You're not associated with that association. I love that. That's going to be I'm not associated with that association. That's going to be what I want to say all the time now.
They do it for free.
Yeah. Next question is, Ryan, is how do you define success?
Probably peace of mind, free time, getting along well with friends and family. I know so many people who don't get along well with their family, and that's not the case for me. Or people who are super isolated. They'll be too plugged into some fake version of reality through the telescreen or whatever, and they don't have those real world relationships they can rely on.
Yeah.
Very well said.
I love that. Next question. What do you like to do for fun outside of Google ads and narrating really extreme audiobooks?
Yeah. Creating extremist content. Yeah, totally. I like playing guitar. I been trying to learn how to play piano for the last couple years. Commute to judo in Spokane a couple times a week. Big fan of that. Like shooting. Should be reading more. Should always be reading more.
Yeah. 10 pages a day.
Or hopefully more.
Last question for you, Ryan, is where can people find out more about you if they want to get in touch with you?
They can go to my shitty website, pretzelppc.com, and if they want to get in touch, they can email me at the email address at the bottom. If they can't figure out pretzelppc.com, we can't do business together.
Hold on.
You run pay-per-click ads and you have a shitty website?
Yeah.
That's awful.
He does. I've been there, but it works.
Yeah, so all of my business has been referrals from people that I've worked with in the past. The website was it's the show I put up before or as I was quitting my last job and getting this. You need to have a website, so I put up some of my not so humble opinions about how PPC ought to be done on that website.
Love it.
I mean, there's a picture of me spitting out the Google Kool-Aid from a
I've
Google
seen that.
mug. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Okay.
No one contacts me through the website. I don't use it for anything.
I love it.
I don't even have a website, so I can't even talk. Your shitty website's probably 10 times better than my non-existent one, so that's...
One is a lot more than zero.
That is true. Nick, let's take us away. I do want to say thanks again, Ryan Jones, for being on the Investorship Podcast with us. Thanks for always listening to our episodes. Thanks for being the #1 undisputed Investor Shed podcast listener.
That's right.
And thanks for all the value. #1, baby.
Woo! Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Ryan, you did great. Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody learned something today, and thanks for putting up with the microphone nonsense. It will get better, I promise. Stick with us. Thanks again for all your comments. You really do pleasure us.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted.
All right. Oh, not leave. Stop.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.